This is a help video for 2.2 recursive formulas for geometric sequences. And this is your notes page, the one that you're going to take a picture of and submit. Let's do a couple of these together. The instructions say, determine if the sequence is geometric. What do we mean? That means that it is a pattern that uses multiplication to get from one term to the next. If it is, find the common ratio. What are we multiplying by? The recursive formula and the next three terms. So we're going to do a couple of things. Is it a geometric sequence? Yes or no? What is the common ratio? What's the recursive formula? And find the next three terms. So on the first one, is it geometric? So is this one multiplying? Well, how do we get from -3 to -6? Well, you could subtract 3, but that doesn't get you from -6 to -12. So subtract 3 doesn't work for the rest of the sequence. I think this one is probably multiply by 2. And we can see that if we multiply by 2, we go from -3 times 2 is -6. -6 times 2 is -12, and so on. So I think this is, yes, it's geometric, so we'll just keep going. The common ratio is 2. The recursive formula, well, let's try that. So we'll call this G sub n. When we did arithmetic sequences, we said A sub n. Well, that's because they were arithmetic sequences. We tend to use G for geometric sequences. So G sub n is, we're going to do the previous term, sorry, I put an A there, G sub n minus 1. Now, when you're putting these in the computer, it really helps if you put parentheses around the n minus 1 so it stays the way you type it. You don't have to do that on paper, but in the computer when you do your quiz, that really helps. So this says take the previous term, G sub n minus 1, that means the previous term, and do what with it? Multiply by 2. That's it. So this says take the previous term, whatever your 1 to the left is, and multiply by 2. So that's your recursive formula. And the next three terms, we can write them up here. That's fine. So -48 and 96, I think it is. Doing these in my head. And then -192. And feel free to use a calculator for those. If you were to use a calculator, let's just show you how that would work. You would have -3 times 2, then times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. There we go. Okay, let's try another one. Is this one geometric? Yeah, I think this one is multiplying by 5. So 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 5 is 50, 50 times 5 is 250. So yes, it's geometric. The common ratio is 5. And the recursive formula, recursive just means from the previous term. So recursive formula is go to the term next door, go to the left term, and multiply by 5. And what are the next three terms? Well, these are kind of big. 1250, 6250. You're just multiplying by 5. I can't do these in my head. I already did them ahead of time. Oops, did that one wrong. -31,250. Again, you have a calculator for that. Go ahead and use that. All right, let's look for a difficult one. Maybe let's go down to number 7. We can see that this one starts to get into the fractions. So is this one multiplying? Kind of. It's dividing. So the common ratio here is 1/4. It's dividing by 4. It's multiplying by a fourth. And let's prove it. So we have -16. Let's multiply by 1/4. And that gives us -4. Let's multiply by 1/4 again, and we get our pattern. So it is multiplied by 1/4. Now, the geometric recursive formula is go to the previous term and multiply by 1/4. There it is. And if you wanted to continue this sequence, you'd have negative 1 over 16 and negative 1 over 64 and negative 1 over 256. So really, I hope you can see that the trick is finding what are we multiplying by. If you find that, you're good to go. Let's do one more tricky one. Let's do number 6. 4, 16, 36, 64. Well, you might be tempted to say, is it plus 12? Is it an arithmetic sequence? No. So that didn't work because that would be 28 and 40. It doesn't work. So you say, well, maybe this is times 4. Okay. But then this is times 4. It's like 16 times 4 is 64. So if you took the 36 out, then it would be times 4. But there's a 36 in there. So it doesn't work with multiply by 4. So you can't add, you can't multiply. So this one is not geometric. It doesn't follow a consistent multiplying rule. All right. Thank you very much. Please send me questions if you are stuck.